Thank you very much. It's my favorite thing that I'm addicted to. And so.
Okay, we're gonna stop. Yes. I'll be dressed.
Yeah.
You're all set. Yeah, you're ready. I like faces like that. Guys. Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Necklaces.
Yes, can I run and get my notebook?
Yes.
I can't miss anything. Yes, I can't miss you.
You make those people bigger?
Oh, she's both.
Maybe they just, they're gonna have to come off of the height.
Right, you're like, I thought this was in person only.
Yeah, I did too.
We're babying people and letting them.
Yes,
Well,
we
if
sure are.
they are, they need to take their.
You want faces?
I want faces.
Okay, guys, so this is supposed to be in person only. And so thank you, Christy, thank you.
Yeah.
And so whoever, Alexandria, can you please put your face on?
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
doesn't matter if you've got curlers in your hair, just.
Yeah, all right, and then
That dates me.
Right.
Yes, curlers.
Let's do the view, so we can do a gallery.
Oh, my
Okay,
goodness.
Here
Thank
we
you,
go,
Allison.
Alexandria.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, yeah, I don't like Zoom. I feel like I did Zoom for 2 years and I'm over it.
We're all
I like
over it.
y'all's faces.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is gonna be a conversation, okay? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I am not an expert at marketing. I didn't go to school for marketing. I have 0 credentials, so you can thank Authorine if I give you a bunch of crap. Use later, okay?
He will not be
But what I will tell you is that I feel like I'm the person that loves advertising. Like I always have had a passion for advertising and jingles. Like I know every jingle out there. I can sing every jingle. I know all the words to every program. Like that was just me because I loved. And I would like look at an advertisement and go, oh, I would change this, this, and this. So I've had a passion for it, but no, I didn't go to school. So again, you may want to do a little research yourself. So we're gonna start real simple. So what do y'all think a brand is?
Ooh, I know, right?
Yes.
I think
A
it's
description of kind of who you are to tell people what they can expect.
Okay.
whether it's all of your marketing materials are all in one color or something that just clicks in their brain.
Okay. Okay. So like recognition.
Yeah, recognition and like expectation of like, okay, you see the golden arches of McDonald's and you know that, okay, I'm gonna get a certainly fine / gross hamburger, but it's gonna come in a yellow thing and a red.
Expectations.
Like, yeah, it's like, so it kind of, you see something and go, okay, I know what to expect when I see that.
Okay.
I'd say value.
It's a good one.
These are all right. Go ahead. What else? I'm gonna have to use that little director's chair. Because I don't have, my feet are dangling and I'm too short. Okay. What else? Anything else about it? Like what makes you, like when you think brand? What is that? Okay. Nothing else? Okay. All of those things are right. What I will tell you is that a brand, so when we look at brand, we really need to think of brand as a verb. It's actually branding, right? If you think of it that way, that it actually has to do something for you. It's an active word. And so it's also something that you need to put a lot of thought into. And if you had to say your brand has to be perfect, well, in real estate, we start making money and don't really start thinking and planning until we're already well into our business, right? And we learn all kinds of things and we don't really think about what the significance of a brand. We don't even think about that. And then you get a little bit bigger or you do a little more business and you're like, I need to start thinking about branding. And so we sort of do it in reverse. I mean, it would be great if you could do it up front. But sometimes you really don't know who you are in real estate. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
You start in real estate, you don't really know what differentiates me between myself and other people. you know, why should people do business with me? What is the expectation I want to set, you know, with the client? How am I going to build my business? What is my strategy? What are the tenets of, you know, how am I going to get my business, right? So would you agree that somebody that does only by referral is different than somebody who does cold calling?
Yes.
Right? So I think your brand also has to reflect the strategy behind your business, okay? So you really need to sit down and kind of think, can you guys hear me? You can hear me okay? Okay. You really need to think about your business. It's a multifaceted process, and you really want to start thinking about it from the very beginning. But even if you're not at the very beginning, the first thing I want you to think about is, who is my client? Okay, it's kind of what you do when you do a value proposition, but you have to, instead of just saying, I think when we do our value proposition, we think about ourselves and we think about, you know, what is my value? What do I bring to the table? And I think that is part of it, but I actually think you have to go much more narrow than that. And you have to say, who is my target? Who do I want to attract? Okay. And how, and once you identify who your client or customer is, then you can say, okay, I know who my customer is. Where do these people go? What do they do? What kind of cars do they drive? What kind of houses do they buy? What kind of activities do they do outside with their families on the weekends? Where do they go on vacation? Okay, I know this sounds like really getting down to the nitty-gritty. But what you want to know is that that's going to be part of your strategy, right? Because once you identify your target market, well, how are you going to intersect with these people? Okay, and you have to put yourself in the places that they are and the things that they do, and you have to have that commonality, right? Because people do business with people they, you know, like and trust. And how do you build? How do you know them? How do you get to know them? By interacting with them, right? So think of it, think of branding way early on, or at least go back to who is my target market? Because again, somebody who does business by referral versus somebody who's more transactional, you know, the way you brand and your look is going to be different, okay? And you need to be careful that you don't create a look that you want because you think it looks nice, but yet that's really not who your target market is. Because what's the point? Here's what happens. If you can confuse the consumer, they're not going to do business with you. If you're different, if every one of your brochures are different and your brochure doesn't match your sign and your sign doesn't match your, like, you will confuse the consumer. They will never know who you are, and they will never be able to affiliate themselves with you and go, yes, this is exactly who I am. This is the person I need to do business with. Does that make sense? Now, I think that you have to be careful trying to like copycat somebody else, because I think then you look like a copycat. And then people will think that too. So you do have to be careful, but you do want to identify your consumer and then be authentic. Be authentic in that this is my consumer, this is my audience, and live it and love it and be it. And you will have a following, because that's really what a brand is. A brand is you, okay? So once you really sit down and identify who your target market is, and identify all those things, and literally all those questions I said, you're gonna want to write them out. It sounds really silly, okay? But you really wanna think about, like, where they vacation, how often do they vacation, what do they drink, like, you know, those kinds of things. And then that's when you create the strategy behind, how do I get in front of them? What appeals to them? What are they going to resonate with? Okay. And once you do that, then you can start looking at the design, because everybody wants to start with the logo. Okay. Everybody wants to start with the logo and work backwards. And it actually doesn't happen that way. And it also is something that evolves over time. And that's why I think it's really hard as a real estate agent to begin with brand, because I think we don't know who we are and we don't know what our business truly is until we're well into the business. And then you're constantly readjusting and changing and rebuilding. How many of you have rebuilt your business at least once?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
more than.
It's like every year.
Yeah.
We're gonna rebuild it, right? Like we've done that so many times. And it's because we ourselves, like we don't know our own brand. That's really the cause of that rebuilding, is that we don't really have that strategy behind and the thought process behind everything. We have one course in Ignite of, you know, your value proposition. And really it's more than just a course. And it's really sitting down and having like thought process multiple times, okay? Once you understand that, then you're gonna start looking at, you know, I looked at colors. I looked at what colors resonate with the type of people and the emotional connection that I need with people, right? So I'm sure you all know that there's an emotion behind colors, right? Yeah, what's red?
Hunger.
Hunger. It's also
Energy.
like
Energy.
energy. That's right. Blue,
Blue is calm.
calm and
Soothing.
trust.
Trust.
Mhm. Green,
Money.
it is.
Money.
You're right, it is. So, and nature.
And nature.
And so you see how these colors evoke things that people already know.
Mhm.
So once you, all right, everybody on there has to show me their face.
Except John. John has COVID. This is
Is
his,
it going to attract?
this,
Thank you.
this is his second day, so he's really feeling it. So
All right.
John, keep, yeah.
Or if you're naked.
Hey, y'all.
Alan,
Just-
your
just-
live
Just
face.
put a towel on and show your face. Look at your towel.
That don't count, girl.
Oh, John.
Yay, John. John can do it, y'all can do
Yeah.
it. Come on, John is
Hey,
sick, it's the
John.
second day
We're
with
just
Keller
looking
Williams.
Yeah.
Yay, Regina.
I came in.
We might need to close that door. All right.
No, let them hear, no.
Today's Liz's
Keep it
birthday.
open.
Brenda.
Happy birthday, Liz.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
Oh, she must show her
Guys,
face.
show me your face.
You must.
This is supposed to be an in-class, in-person session.
So show your face.
Show your face.
Stay home.
I know how y'all snuck up on there. Come on, come on, we're gonna disconnect you. Okay.
It's Magdalena. Oh, Regina.
They're not.
Showed herself, but she left.
Okay, and so then that's when you start looking at designing your identity, okay? Once you understand like what your strategy is going to be, how you're gonna connect with these people, then you can really start looking at the kind of the physical part of the brand is, and you're gonna go through a lot of different changes. I'm sure, do you all know that mine is a pineapple?
Yes.
How many of y'all know that I have a
A
pineapple?
gold pineapple, right?
No, it's not a gold
It's just a
pineapple, it's just a pineapple.
And I know
No
what
color
it
associated.
means.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a little story about that, okay?
Yes.
Is it okay if I say that story?
Yes.
So I have been using thank you cards with pineapples since the very beginning, since before, like even before I started real estate.
Mhm.
And then when I started real estate, that was sort of my identity, right? Like everybody knew that when I sent them a happy birthday card, it had a pineapple on it. And so I used it for years, and I was showing a property. I'm not gonna say the neighborhood because I don't want, just in case anybody lives from that neighborhood. Oh my God! She said it, okay. So I was showing a neighborhood to somebody and they were like, you know what this neighborhood is known for? And I was like, no, what is it known for? And she was telling me that it was for like, what is it called?
Swingers.
Swingers.
Oh, I know which one it is.
And I was like,
I'm on your
and I was like, what? What do you, no. And they were like, yeah, you know, I meant to say something to you about your pineapple.
Oh, my goodness.
And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, did you know that the symbol for swingers is an upside down pineapple?
No way.
And I was like, heck no, that is story because it meant something to somebody, like to a certain generation.
Yeah.
But one day I'm talking to my son, who's now 20, and he showed me a shirt at some store. This is when I took the pineapple back. He showed me like a shirt at the store that had a pineapple. And me thinking, cool mom, I know something, right? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, you like that shirt? You know it's got a pineapple on it. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, it means something you don't want. And he's like, no, it doesn't. And I'm like, yeah, it does. And he's like, no, it doesn't. So he picks up, what's that dictionary, that modern, Urban Dictionary. And okay, guys, I'm not gonna cuss, but it said something like, listen, you moron, it does not mean it's a freaking pineapple, it's a fruit, stop it. Like, basically, that's what it said. Something kind of funny like that. And so I was like, oh my gosh, okay, that meant something to who knows, the people who created swinging, I don't know. So I took the pineapple back, and then I was decided, well, you know what, now I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
And so I have had a lot of modifications of the brand over a period of time because I have had feedback from clients. Clients will give you great feedback. You don't always want to hear it, but if you do listen to it and you realize, okay, you know what, I really need to improve on it. The reason I say this to you is that don't go spending a whole lot of money on your brand at first because it's gonna go on your logos and things. It's gonna take time for you to kind of get it to where you really are like, this is it. I feel like that's where my brand is now. But I started in 2007. So look how long that took. Hopefully it will take you guys way less than that. But my point being is that once I settled in, like I got my pineapple back, I can use all of my stationery. I was so happy. Then I just decided, okay, I'm just gonna go, full force with it. And I had clients tell me things like, I literally had one client at a listing appointment say, what the hell is up with this pineapple?
Yeah.
And I said, it means hospitality. It means welcome. And he goes, nobody knows that. And this is a client, good friend client. Nobody knows that. And he gets on the phone calls people while I'm at my listing appointment. What is a pineapple? He goes, we're gonna take a survey. And he starts calling people. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? And out of 10 people he called, 5 people knew what it meant. So it made me put a house on the pineapple. Okay? Because he made me realize that, okay, people weren't necessarily gonna identify what it meant. So my point being is that it goes through a lot of, changes over a period of time, and you have to be open to it. Don't go spending a lot of money on it. Once you kind of get it to where you think you want it, then you can do that.
Picture of your logo now, I want to see. It's on the banner.
It's right there.
Google it.
Yeah, it's right there in the parking lot, the
literally.
van,
Oh,
literally.
Okay, I see
Yeah,
it.
just
Is
look
it right
out
there
the
right now?
window, right there.
It's here.
I can't see it.
It's not there right
It's
now.
not there right now,
Oh,
but it
no.
will be later.
Okay.
So I don't,
have seen it.
Well, you're right, there's certain things, it's like if you saw the shape of a Christmas tree, you would know immediately what it was, or
Right.
a menorah or something like that,
Right.
but you see a pineapple, like I know my generation and my parents' generation would have known immediately,
right,
because that
Right.
was just a thing, at people's front door, you would have a pineapple on either side of your
Right,
front door, it was
right.
representing hospitality.
everything.
And doorknob.
Go to Charleston,
Yeah.
and it's everywhere, it's everywhere.
But you get out of that sort of connection, it's not as, you see a Coca-Cola swoosh, it's or a Nike swoosh, what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, absolutely, and so that's the good thing, so like we actually have, it's all trademarked now. Our logo's trademarked, so we have 2 slogans, a welcome approach to real estate, and we did the welcome because of the pineapple.
Right.
And then the one that is in trademark right now is your best mission, your best life is our mission. And that is everywhere, and we have taken it, we do best life on everything now. And people totally associate us now with best life. And it has taken a while, but Those things did not come up right away. It does, what happened is we went into many sessions just like this, the whole team, where we were hashing out, what are we trying to accomplish? What do we want our clients to feel like? What's important to our client? You know, how do we take ourselves out of the equation? You know, how do we make sure we put the customer first? Like, we had these questions and we just kept meeting, and you can do the same thing, whether you're an individual agent or whether you and an assistant. You have people in your database that can be kind of part of your board. I had that. I would call people that I knew in my name, that are in my database that I said, I value so-and-so because they're really savvy in business. I, you know, respect this person because they're great with design, and I respect this person for, you know, they all bring something to the table. And you could pick 5 or 6 people and you could have them over to your home
Serve
for a
pineapple.
glass of wine, and just say, look, you're here because I value you, I value your opinion, you guys have different perspectives, and I need you guys to tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, you don't want them to just say, oh, you're so perfect, everything's wonderful. You know, you want them to say, like that friend of mine who called people at the listing table, I was like, I can't believe you did that. But he bettered us, he made us better. And so you do need to value your client, because that's who you're going after, once you identify that client. So then the other thing is, you want, when it comes to the design, and you don't have to have a slogan, we do, but you don't have to, you can come up with that over time. The thing is that the design has to match the person that you're trying to attract, right? You know, if you are an expert with investors, that's not going to be the same design, the same appeal as a luxury brand, right? So you need to make sure that that's when you're going to really start kind of thinking about it. And what you do is you kind of go and do Google searches or look at other people's logos and other people's brands and decide, I like this portion of this brand, I like this about that brand, and then kind of collect things of other brands that you like and, you know, scrutinize them. You know, like, how can I make that, you know, what's missing on this brand? How could this one be better? You know what I'm saying? And collect that. And over time, when you do that, you'll start sort of getting that. So like the other thing that was important to me was that everyone always said something about my name. It's not my name, it's my husband's last name, but it is mine now, right? So everyone would be like, Beshara, where's that from? Where, you know, like that was a thing. So I knew that I needed to use that as part of our brand. And so it used to be that Beshara real estate team was kind of all the same height, all the font was the same height. And then I realized, no, that Beshara really needs to stand out because people comment about my last name all the time. So what's special about you, something that people comment about that identifies you as just you, right? And then use that as part of your brand. Don't shy away from it. In fact, you should embrace it because that's already created half the battle for you.
Say it again.
What?
What's special about?
What is special about you, or something that people already associate you with? If a large group of people already associate you with something, then look at that and go, is that something that I can incorporate in my logo, in my design, in my slogan, in my whatever it is that you're trying to create, right? And then embrace it. And even if you don't use that particular thing, maybe that will be a spin-off of giving you an idea of, well, if I modified this, you know, maybe I'll use that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So what I was gonna say is, did somebody pull up my logo by chance? Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, did you? So you saw now Beshara is really big.
Yeah.
Right? It used to be, if you see my old logo, I don't know if I have it, but it literally, it was, yeah. Do you see it?
Oh, wow. Can you put it on the screen? Oh.
All those in the TV
See,
land.
that is big. Definitely.
So, so that's when that changed. You know, people were always, and then they couldn't also, they also were like, how do you spell your name? Is it with an I, is it with an E, is it, they misspelled it, so we made it big. And now, that's the brand.
So you, I mean, thank you for that, because people always ask me to repeat my first name. And what does it mean?
Mhm.
So I've got Johnson Global Estates. So now I'm thinking
Go to
it needs
Arthur
to be Arthurine Global Estates.
Yes, because
Sets
Johnson's a
you
great
apart.
name,
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot
Johnson
of them,
and
but how
Johnson.
many Johnsons are there?
A lot. Howard Johnson's the motel, Johnson and Johnson getting sued. Talcum powder. You know what I'm saying? So it's true.
I'm so glad you're
Let's
saying
be
that.
real.
Because people ask me all the time, my name is like 5 minutes later, I'm just looking like, what's the heck of this conversation?
Yeah.
I'm glad you
Yeah.
did say that.
Well, I think that's great, I mean, what,
Yeah,
I mean,
they're not
that,
gonna forget you.
you're,
Yeah.
that's right, how could they not, once
I
they
met
know
a
your
cli-
name, that's it, they're gonna be like, oh, great.
I met a
Great.
client once just at a festival in Decatur, and he was tall, blonde, looked like a Danish god or something. And as we were chatting, I said, so what's your name? And he says, Jose Rodriguez. And I said, oh, no, really, what's your name? And he said, it's really Jose Rodriguez. He said, my father is Mexican, my mother was Danish. And he said, and it's the greatest pickup line ever. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, there's not a girl in a bar that's gonna forget that my name is Jose Rodriguez, because he didn't
memorable.
fit it, so it's like,
Wow.
yeah,
That's hilarious.
it was pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
And you have to be a little careful. I just co-op with a guy who's, I asked him, I said, did you change your last name when you got in this career? His name is Thomas House.
Right.
And I said, oh, holy cow, but
How about Marcia Sells?
yeah,
Yeah.
so there's some people who just have that
David
last
House.
name.
Right. That's right.
Tony Money. Oh, my
Yeah,
Lord.
Tony.
Yeah.
So
That's
there's some
great.
that just have it in their name.
I think I'm gonna put a crown on mine.
That's for the queen.
Because I call you Lady Grace all the time.
There you go.
There you
No,
go.
I love Grace,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
Grace is-
really.
that's great.
That
That's
is a
great.
good name.
And I
So,
call her
yeah.
Lady.
Some of this stuff is right under your nose and you probably
Yeah.
don't even see it,
Yeah.
but once you start kind of thinking about it and kind of questioning yourself and questioning your clients, that's the other thing is you can go and take a survey with your clients and say, this is sometimes hard, tell me what I can improve. Tell me how I can, forget about the testimonials for a second, like literally have a conversation to say, you just went through this. I'm always wanting to learn.
How could
I always want to get better. What would you say, if one thing, because it's really hard for them, they don't want to hurt your feelings, right? But if you say, tell me one thing I can do better, just one thing. And you're not gonna hurt my feelings because I want to get better. And they will tell you. They will tell you and you can improve your business. Every time I don't get a listing appointment, like a listing from my listing appointment, I always ask. I always ask, tell me why I didn't get the listing. And I was like, please don't feel like you need to hold back because the truth of the matter is I want to know so that the next time I go into somebody's house, I want to make sure I don't make the same mistake. And so that is the best kind of feedback. Feedback is for champions. And so make sure that you get feedback. And in your brand, get the feedback. And it's not going to be perfect. You're going to go through changes. Don't feel that. I think that's the other thing that we do to ourselves in real estate is that until it's ready for prime time, we don't want to put it out there.
Yeah.
It's like, I got to learn more before I go on an appointment. I got to do this before. I got to learn more about, sell more houses. And it's just not true. You've got to get out there because you're learning yourself. You're sort of discovering who you are and what your business is. I think at the very beginning, it's really hard to figure out who is my client. My clients are my friends. I mean, you can start with that.
Yeah.
My clients are my neighbors. You can start with that.
That could be your brand, my clients are my friends.
Yeah, well, that's a perfect.
Don't
Yes.
you take that. 'Cause I have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's a
Don't-
brand.
and
It is, it's a
trademark
brand. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
And I
Just
think
trademark
people
easily.
associate it. I just said,
She just trademarked my slogan.
Okay, so that your brand should have an emotional connection to your client. Without that emotional connection is what causes them to act and to make a decision. So you have to have that emotional connection. And you also have to remember that once you, and even if you don't have like your perfect logo yet, your perfect slogan, I think one of the things that you could do is make sure that everything that leaves your office, leaves your computer, everything you say, do, and produce is the same. So it should not look like you spent 3 hours on this and 5 minutes on this. Like, it needs to look the same. And this is why, and I know this isn't, there's no problem with using contract people, okay, not at all, I've used them. But just know that if you're using somebody who's contract, you want to make sure that they understand your brand, that it feels like they're dealing with you when they do anything for you, right? Your client should not feel the separation between a contract person and who you are. The interaction needs to be the same, because everything you think, say, and do is your brand. That is your brand. And so make sure that all the marketing looks the same. You cannot use red on one brochure and blue on another because it matches the house better. Like, you don't want to do that. It's very confusing to the consumer. You just stick with it. Even if it's not perfect, just stick with it. And when you're ready to make a change, then change it all. You know what I mean? And you'll have to do it again. You'll get it, better, and then you'll have to change it again. You're gonna tweak it. We went through a couple of versions of our color before we decided on the final color. It was close, and it was like, we couldn't, like, our cards had one, it's like, okay, we've got to throw out those cards now, and there was a lot of waste. That's why I said, don't spend a lot of money until you're kind of really ready, but it should be able to look the same. The feel should be the same. If you're luxury, everything should look luxury. Your business cards should look luxury. Your marketing brochures should look luxury. Your website should feel luxury. Here's the thing I also want to say is, just know that when you do luxury, I'm just going to give you an example, and you drive up in a jalopy, that's a problem. Do you understand? Okay, so like the brand there's no problem that you don't have a great car right now. That doesn't, just know that the brand has to go all the way through. Okay.
And your appearance.
And your
If you're gonna
appearance
do
needs
luxury,
your appearance.
yeah.
They say you should dress one level above your client. One level above your client.
The only time I differentiate that, because I was in those shoes, if I know I'm going to see a woman with a special needs child, I'm gonna dress like her.
Okay.
Because I know all of the emotional content that comes with that, in being in that position.
Right.
So I'm probably gonna have some loose pants on with a nice t-shirt or something.
Right.
I'm gonna look professional, but if
Right.
I'm going to the home of parents with special needs children,
Then you
I'm
go dress.
gonna dress the way I know they look.
Right. Right. Well, and that's the same thing as thinking like, I'm gonna dress like my client. They talk about mirror and matching. How better that mirror and match. And just because somebody does luxury doesn't mean that they do 100% luxury and they don't do anything else. That's not true, right? They're gonna sell $100,000 condos or 100. I mean, that's gonna happen, too. And you may dress differently for one client than you do for another client. That's okay, but your feel should be the same, right? And we don't differentiate our service whether we're doing luxury or whether we're doing 400,000. They get the same treatment. They get all the bells and whistles. It's the same. It's the same thing. So that's the other thing. So your brand also needs to be representative of the physical service that you provide, right? So, I mean, you need to get back down to like the brass tacks of what am I going to do for each client? What does that look like? You know, going through that transaction. Sometimes I see a disconnect between like postcards and then somebody's brochures. So you've got to be careful. Just because it's a postcard and you want it to be, think about it this way. Postcards are expensive. So normally when it comes time to postcards, people go cheap, right? They're like, I'm gonna go cheap. But if that's not your brand, you shouldn't do that. It needs to feel the same. Because once you confuse the consumer, they don't trust you. I know that sounds like that's not, you think that that's not true. No, it totally is true. They want to make sure that you're the same way in everything and not just some of the time. Because if you tell them it's only, if they see it happening only some of the time, guess what they think your service is? It's just some of the time. Some of the time I'm going to do a great job, and some of the time I'm not going to do such a great job because I'm inconsistent. So consistency in your day-to-day, consistency in your communication, and all of that is part of your brand. So it's not just a logo. It's not just, you know, a slogan. I want you to forget about that. It's like the least important. And then, so here's the other thing. Once you have a brand and the consumer associates your brand with whatever the connection is, how do you maintain that? How do you maintain it when they're not a customer? How do you maintain it? Because here, that's the other thing with brand. The brand can't turn off and on when you want it to. The brand remains the brand, even when you're not in front of a customer. That's why I tell people be authentic in regards to like, oh yes, it'd be nice to sell, you know, $2 million properties all the time. But if that's not your day-to-day customer, like be authentic because that's who you have to be all the time. And if you're trying to go be this luxury agent, but that's not, you know, maybe you're somebody who cuts up and you're more casual, and there are luxury clients that are like that too. You know what I mean? So you don't have to worry about that. It's you. You be your authentic self, and that is who you're going to attract, right? And if you have a fun brand, be a fun brand. That could be your brand. I'm fun. We're gonna have fun during this process of selling and buying a home. We're gonna have so much fun that you and I are gonna be friends after we're done. Do you see what that is? That's a brand, guys. That's a brand. It doesn't have to be serious. I mean, it's serious, but it doesn't have to be, you know, uptight.
Okay.
Right? So think about that. You know, what is my relationship with my clients? Think about that, because I think that's part of your brand. The other thing I want to share with you is if you decide you're going to grow a team, how does that brand translate into other people? Okay. So I have heard, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but I have heard, and there is some resistance. Somebody said to me once, oh, I created a name of my company that doesn't include my name because I don't think agents are going to want to work with a team that has somebody else's name on it. And there is a school of thought there that once it's associated with a name, then that's, people are going to think that. I kind of disagree a little bit. If you notice, I pulled off my, I don't know if you guys, obviously probably never saw my sign, but maybe you did. I used to have my face on my signs. I don't have my face on my signs anymore because the brand is not me anymore. And I think you want to think bigger than that. The brand is you, but you have to also think of it as outside of you. What does that brand look like? Like, do my teammates know what my brand is, right? What the brand is? Do they know what it means? It's something that we literally talk about. This is going to sound crazy to you. We talk about it every team meeting. Every team meeting, we talk about are, so for us, just to let you know, we have basically five tenets of our brand. The first one is integrity. The second one is platinum customer service. The third one is, now I'm going to a blank here, just a second. Okay, the other one is family and fun, and the third one, give me a second, oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank?
Integrity, platinum.
I know, I'm seeing it on the board and I'm like,
Family and fun is the third one.
I know, it's on my board. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank here, but I've got
It'll come.
the worst. Anyway, every meeting, we talk about one of those tenets again. And here's the interesting part about this. As the market changes, those tenets, you need to discuss them again.
Yeah.
Because here's what just happened with us, and this is why brand is so important, is the market shifted. Buyers and sellers are feeling differently, right? Agents, co-op agents are feeling different. Okay, has it been harder to do business lately? Is every transaction harder?
Not
The majority of them are.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's a few that slip through.
They're
They're a little
The ones that are nice stand out.
Yeah.
Yes.
The ones that are nice and are professional, they
Yeah.
stand
Stand
out.
out.
So you definitely want to do that because your clients, that's the other thing is we talk about this all the time. Your clients are not only our clients, and our teammates, it's our co-op agent.
Right.
Oh, and guess who else our client is? The co-op agent's client. That's who our client is too. Like
Right.
we take it that far to say, well, you could be right, but how is that person gonna feel when they close? You know what I'm saying? Just like, can we make it all a little bit better? Let's not, yeah. Yeah, so, and I'll tell you that's gonna bother me about my, but anyway, so remember that it goes, so, yeah, so.
Text your team.
What's his name? I love
What's that fifth one?
Brett.
What's number three?
Text Brett.
It's-
Seriously, you can't remember?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious, I can't believe that.
Inquiry
It's
minds
what
want
it's
to
what
know.
I know, I'll tell you, it's not,
It's what I said earlier, Brenda, before you came in and I couldn't remember the password to go on the Zoom. I told her, I said, you know what, I'm a woman of a certain age.
I know, is that terrible?
So just forgive me, cause I can't remember.
Yeah, all right, he's not texting back yet, but I'll tell you.
Brenda, when you've had some of those changes to your brand, do you introduce that to your clients? I mean, do you send out like, hey, we're changing our brand and here's why, or you just change it?
I did, okay, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I didn't do that for every change, but when I had this major change, because this logo went through a major transformation. Like the other logos, I just did small little things that you would really not even know I made. Like you have to really be looking at my brand. But when I did this, which was I guess about a year and a half, maybe about a year and a half ago, I did say we have a new look.
Yeah.
But do you want to say that 10 times?
No.
You have to like go, like when you get your brand or your branding to where you want it and you like, oh man, this is it. You can do that. But I would be very like, they're gonna be like, oh, Connie's reinventing herself again. Do you know what I mean? Like if you say new look, they're gonna be like, well, how many new looks are you gonna have? So I was pretty kind of quiet with a lot of the changes.
But I think you probably do, I love your idea about having those 5 people that are sort of your
Your
board of
board
directors,
directors,
because there are probably people in this room who know who it is, but there was a very dear lady who went through a big deal about her branding years ago, and it was 2 hummingbirds. Y'all probably know who I'm talking about.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
And I love her, and they were all, and there were two of them that were working together. Well,
my
then when they
Lord.
split,
Oh.
what do you do with
And
that
then
name?
One gets one hummingbird, the
And
other one
then-
gets the other.
Yeah, and it was kind of an ugly split.
It
quite
was
frankly.
very ugly.
But also, you know, when she kept saying, oh, I've got this great brand, I've got this great brand, and then she sort of presented it to us. And in my head, when I thought of a hummingbird, I think of a bird that is scattered and running around all the time, and it's like it totally missed with me. And I just wondered, did they go through any kind of testing of the brand, you know? And so I would say, just be a little cautious, because what you think your message is might not be what people receive.
Right. Well,
You
see,
know?
that's
It's like you had the little glitch with your pineapple.
right. Right.
You know,
That's
don't make it wrong, but just be aware of how someone might see it differently.
That's why it's so important when you sit down and go, who am I attracting and what is the feeling? What is the, so obviously we all, like if we had pictures of different things up here, you all would have different feelings. Does this make you feel good? Does this make you feel bad? Does this make you feel happy? Does this, you know, like different things. And so hummingbirds, that's a really interesting, why a hummingbird? That seems very random. Now, if you say to me, oh, everybody knows that I am a hummingbird collector. And I mean, people just know that about me. Or, you know, if somebody's always calling you, you know, the Energizer Bunny, or you know what I'm saying? And you have a little bunny. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that it does have to evoke a feeling and a message. And you're right, two hummingbirds to me, that seems a little random. I'm not sure what the connection
Well,
is
I
there.
don't remember what it was
Maybe
now,
perhaps it
but
was
when
a
they
hummingbird?
came out with it, there was a lot of communication, if you will, with clients, et cetera, that it was sort of like, well, if you have to explain it that much.
Yeah. Well, that might be the difference
Yeah, I don't
between
know.
having the hummingbird as their pineapple
Yes,
and
versus
saying,
really.
right, because you remember that KW group, I can't remember where they were out of, but they call themselves the Busy Blondes.
Yes, yeah.
I believe it were two.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We're
it's
blonde.
cute, they're from either Florida or Texas.
Somewhere,
And they're busy blondes and everybody knew them.
right, so it doesn't have anybody's last name on it.
No, and they
It's-
didn't.
Still would not have.
They
had a
were
good feeling for
MREs.
me.
Well, not from
MREs.
here, but maybe
Yeah.
for their clients.
Yeah.
I think they were in Texas.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, cause it worked.
I can see that in Texas.
Yeah, it works, cause they had the big ear and.
No, I can
and
see
they
that in
were blonde.
Texas.
And it worked, it totally worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, busy blondes.
Well, I do think that you need, I mean, then you can start getting into things of like, what's catchy? Like, what are people gonna remember,
Yeah.
right? So I think people like, I don't know, maybe the hummingbird. I don't know if the hummingbird you associate necessarily with anything to do with real estate, because that's the other thing that I've learned through this process is you can build a brand, but how much harder is it for them to associate you with something specific? Because your brand has to not only evoke your values, but it also has to connect with the consumer of what it is. I mean, quite frankly, we are not Kleenex and we are not Q-tips.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't have the billions of dollars that those people have to just saturate the market in such a way that it doesn't matter. So, I mean, that's really kind of what, okay, this is Brett. Oh, he's taking a picture of everything. I guess, can you take a picture of our wall?
Oh,
And it's like, no, okay. Oh, here it is. Productivity.
there you
So,
go.
well, you only,
Family and fun are
family
separate.
and fun are separate.
Yeah. Integrity, productivity, platinum customer service, family, and fun. And let me tell you where productivity comes. These are our value system, okay? This is
So.
our internal,
Productivity
It was
number.
number 3.
nope,
No, number 2.
it is number 2.
Just mess up.
So let me tell you how we came up with that, okay? So has anybody taken bold in here?
Yes.
Okay. Do they still give you those little cards with words on them?
Yes,
No.
yes.
We
No?
don't have them, but.
What car? No, well, I just.
So let me tell
Where
you,
you pick
let
out
me
the
tell,
things that are
let me
yours.
tell you
Yeah.
how we did this. Because by the time I did that, we were already a team of 6 or 7. So, during our, team advance, we laid out those 40 cards on a table. This was a team like, event, whatever, and say, or game, we laid out all the cards. And nobody knew we were doing this. And I said, everybody here is gonna write the 10 words on this table that are the most meaningful to them individually. So they wrote the 10. And then we said, you know, what's your 10? 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 And we removed all the words that nobody chose. Then I said, okay, now here's the words that are left. Okay, I want you to narrow it down to the 5, because here's what's happened. When you tell somebody to choose 10, they're actually leaving some on the table that they wanted to write, but they had to choose. Does that make sense? Okay, so then we said, okay, now I want you to narrow it down to 5. And everybody had to come down to 5. Then we said, okay, we're gonna see how many overlap. And these are the ones that overlapped the most. On some of them, all 10 of us chose. On some of us, 7 chose, or 5 chose, or 3. You see what I'm saying? And then we had the 5. That is how we came up with it. And the reason I did that is because by the time we were branding and really getting down to our team values, our mission, vision, and values, we were already a team, guys. We were already a team. And so I needed buy-in. And can I come? You said this. Can I come and say, all right, guys, by the way, these are our 5 values. Hope you can live up to them. Can you do that? No, maybe if you started from the very beginning and you had that much foresight to do it. But I didn't. So at that point, we were a team and I wanted everybody to buy in. So when everybody left that meeting, how do you think they felt?
Really
Do
good.
you think they felt ownership?
Oh, no, that's what I was gonna
Do
say.
you think they felt
ownership.
engaged? Do you think
Yeah.
they were part of the process?
Gotcha.
So that was part of it. So they're very engaged. We typically, other than we have already building our admin team, we have longevity on our team.
Yes.
Longevity, because they feel ownership. This is not a monopoly, like this, and I'm a monopoly. This is not I'm not a tyrant. It's just not like my way or the highway. That is not, it's just because the brand is Beshara, they all have a lot of say in it. And so that's how we created our value system. And so when we do everything, this is what's great about doing that, is that helps you decide what your brand is. Figure out your values and then create your brand. Don't start with your brand and then figure your values out. That's kind of the reverse. And I think that's what people don't think about, right?
So say that again.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of process.
So
You
yeah,
got
you
your
have to have your
values.
value system first.
And then, yeah.
And then, so if you are hard, like, it's so easy to get those cards and lay them out and say to yourself, if it's just you and your husband, your husband and a friend, you can lay those out. And it's hard to choose 10 because there's like 40 of them, 45 cards, but choose 10, narrow it down, narrow it down, narrow it down. Until you choose, 5. You could have 3, but we did 5. And the great thing about that too, as you're building your business, then you can measure everything you do by those values. Is this, because we have family is important, fun is important to us, right? Productivity. Well, productivity and family can sometimes clash, which is what part of what people love about being on our team. You can go on vacation. Every one of your clients are going to be taken care of, and you're going to get all your commission every 6 weeks. Does that feel like a family?
Yeah.
Right? But if we were on a team, that if you went on vacation, now I get a split of your commission, would you even want to go on vacation? You'd be like, I'm not going on vacation. Do you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter. Sometimes I've shown for them, sometimes my husband has shown for them, sometimes our assistant has shown for them. It doesn't matter. If the job gets done, we do it. That's productivity. So we believe in family. We want these people to work hard, but we also want them to be aligned and all that stuff. So that's part of your values, right? And then now you can measure every procedure that you create on those values. Hey, this is what we're gonna implement. Does it meet integrity? Does it meet customer platinum service? Does it meet, do you understand how that works now? So once you've got your value system, everything can be put under that microscope, and that's when you become unified. And again, it's always working. We're always working to unify that. Because if you don't, I'm gonna tell you one more thing and then I've got 3 more minutes. Okay. So this is kind of how this all started, by the way. About 5 years ago, I had a coach who we had already our five tenets of our value system, but she is the one who reminded me that I had to really talk about it all the time. And she said, I'm gonna tell you what the problem is. You guys are not thinking the same every day. Like every day you have to think of the same every single day. So what you need to do is, but it's best year ever by doing this. I want you to choose a word once a year. Your team chooses a word, and that word you have to live by. Everything you think, say, do, breathe has to be that. So we chose the word gratitude. The first year was gratitude. And everything we did had to do about gratitude, okay? Everything, I mean, we had it on everything. That year, we had our best year ever. So every year since then, we choose one word, and we've gone from gratitude, we also say happy. Happy was one of our words. Everything has to be happy. Are you happy? Are you happy? I know that sounds crazy, but when everybody on a team is thinking the same thing, and that's the word that they think every day, then you come to the office with that one word in mind, and you're on the same wavelength versus everyone kind of being on their own. Does that make sense? So talk about it, think about it every day, and create that brand and just stick to it. And I hope this was helpful. But
Oh my God, it was.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean, I have notes, lots of notes.
Sorry you guys couldn't make it in, but thanks for putting your face out there for us.
You're welcome,
Thank you, Brenda.
You're welcome, Regina.
All right, y'all.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Oh, yeah.
May I have some notes from the first 2 minutes?
Yes, yes. I was talking
All
about.
right.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
How
you.
many people in your team?
I think it's 9 now.
How long have you been?
Oh, a long time.
I've been 2007 or 8.
I've been 2007 here. I got licensed in 2003. But I didn't really start selling full time until 2007. That's when I started. So, but here's the problem with that is I didn't decide to build a team until about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, that's part of the problem with not being up front. That's in the MREA book. It talks about that. We don't think big enough up front.
Yeah.
We think about it years into our career.
Mhm.
And it almost happens by chance. It's like later you're like, oh, okay, maybe I do want to grow it, you know? So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Great to
It's
see
so,
you.
it's so funny, Brenda, because I have a butterfly in my lower. And I said, let me just put it up, because I know it was transformation and hope.
It does.
But let me see what else it is. And I'm forward is
I didn't know, I'm gonna go print this out shortly.
Simple research.
I'm gonna print this out.
Simple reverse, triumph of the spirit, right?
Put everything together.
Rebirth and triumph of the spirit. And the soul. And triumph of the spirit is what I'm all about.
Yeah.
And I never knew that part.
That's-
Yeah.
I don't know how. I wanna take that passion and what is it
To someone
Right,
else.
yeah, right.
Because everybody knows hope, and but triumph of the spirit is more of where I live.
You need me?
Thank you so much. I love you.
As a matter of fact,
How you doing, Miss Betty?
I had to learn how to like
Bernie minutes on Facebook and watch replay of America's Got Talent. And it was this young girl who was a singer and she had done her own song, and I'm gonna find it and send you the link because it was perfect. She came out in this jumpsuit. It was like a white jumpsuit and it had graphic butterflies.
Yes,
all
I
over it.
remember it, I saw it.
Did you see
I saw it
it?
when she was doing it.
Holy
Yeah,
cow.
and it gave me the chance.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh, I hope Arthurine has seen this.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
you have seen it. It was amazing. Her mom had passed and she had written this. She said, I wrote this song when
You're
everything
welcome,
was going
sweetie.
great in my life, and then all of a sudden everything switched. And she said that it was about your daydreams. Daydreams was the name of the song, and it was just beautiful. I was crying.
I love it.
You
I love all
know,
those shows because I love a story.
the story behind it,
Right.
yeah.
Which is why I like
Yeah.
sports, because there's stories behind these
Oh, I
little
didn't
people.
realize you loved sports. Okay, so sports. I watch, oh my God, I'm gonna mess up his name. Akuchambos, Unique, what's his name? Oh my God.
What sport is it?
It's basketball,
Yeah.
and he's on the Timberwolves, and they won last year.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna send it to you
How
because
are
the
you?
story behind it is absolutely
Love
phenomenal.
their stories.
He never went to school over here, he never played the leagues and all of that. He was overseas in Greece. And they saw him, somebody saw him. And took him over here on.
Isn't that story that Adam Sandler has just made a movie
No,
out of? That's some other
no,
story.
this is a true story. They took him to the NBA draft
Mhm.
on a wing on a prayer,
Mhm.
hoping that somebody would pick this guy,
Yeah.
kid up.
Mhm.
And the Timberwolves picked him up 4 years ago.
Mhm.
He is,
He's a star.
he's a mega star.
Wow, isn't that
He's a
awesome?
mega star and helped them win a championship last year.
Mhm.
Yeah, Giannis, his name is
Okay,
Giannis.
that name's.
Yeah, let me pull it up. But the movie, let me pull it up, because you gotta watch it. It's on Disney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on Disney.
Uh-huh.
When she was talking about the one word, have y'all seen Ted Lasso on
I've
Apple
never
TV?
seen
I haven't seen
Oh
it.
my God, you would go crazy over it, yeah. And it's like over his office door, he's just got the word believe.
Okay.
You know, and it's like when he first puts it up, all the guys in the locker room are like, oh my God, you know, but they all buy into it, you know, as the season goes
Giannis, so they just call him Giannis.
Okay.
Giannis after, and it is what, Rise.
Mm,
You gotta watch it.
okay, I'll watch that.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Cause
on. Okay.
you're gonna love the story. I just can't believe the story.
Yeah.
So him and his brother would go to practice over in Greece, because they were born in Greece, but it's a whole bunch to that story. And they would go and practice, and the brother would be out on the court, and then come back, take off his shoes, give Giannis his shoes. So Giannis could go on and practice. So now there are 3 brothers in the NBA.
You should show it.
3 of them.
You should show it one day.
That'd be a
And
great
ju- and just-
inspiration, wouldn't it?
You know what?
Just have it as a
A
motivational
movie
movie.
night.
Yeah.
I just, there's no Disney on here though. Oh.
Yes, I don't have
Maybe
Disney.
do
but-
it,
yeah.
maybe do it at my house.
There you go.
Then hang out and have popcorn
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah. And make y'all some Jamaican food.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Riches.
Yeah. It's
When she was-
it's bonding.
When she was talking about how do you connect with your clients, it's one of my favorite things about December. I did.
About
December? I have
Yes.
a,
love December.
I have the first Sunday of December, I invite all my best clients and family and neighbors to come to our house for brunch.
that's huge.
And,
That's really
and
special.
there's, you know, it's like, even if they don't come, because a lot don't, but we end up with about 50 people.
No, it's
for
not,
brunch.
it's not, it's
And
about invitation.
They
Yeah,
know that I
right.
invited them to my house.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not, I didn't invite them to some fancy restaurant or
Which
anything
would be
like that.
nice too, but it's more
I invited
personal.
them to my house.
Right.
And tell me.
I've gotten to see where they live now. They get to
Well,
see where I live, and it's nothing
that's-
fancy, but it's,
that's
you know,
safe.
it's,
What, tell me your name?
Connie Davison.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
But some of the names you were dropping are from the past.
Oh, yeah, I've been around for 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
12 years, yeah. And I certainly would not want to throw that person under the bus about her 2 hummingbirds, but I never got it from day one. You know, and I love her.
Well, but
Adore her.
but it's still, are you
But it was
able
just
to
trying to-
identify
Yeah.
with that, or is anyone able?
Well, and like I said, it was sad because the 2 of them as partners and then they split. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, what happens with that logo?
Well, exactly.
You know, so
Well, it did happen.
It needs
one
to,
of them kept it.
right, yeah, it would make sense. It needs to live on though, like what
Yeah.
Brenda's saying.
But see, I would choose like a bluebird because I think of bluebirds with bluebird houses.
True.
You know, they,
Right.
you know,
Are you
or,
still on Zoom?
you know,
Oh, are we still on Zoom?
I guess it's just running.
Yeah. When
But I also think sometimes we put way too much time and effort working on it.
well, I
You
think
know,
so
just
too.